Alright, so a couple of homestead updates. One is an update with the chickens. As you can plainly see, they have gotten much bigger. And they don't like me messing with the top, but they get used to it once they hear my voice, once I start talking to them. Several of them like to be picked up and held and that kind of stuff, but we're not going to mess with them too much. They're still at the point where they need a little bit of the heat lamp, and so that's why it's still in there, but we're starting now to where we're turning it off during the day and letting them use their own body heat and generate their own body heat. That way they don't have to worry about it. We also, this is just a simple rabbit hutch that we got from Tractor Supply. And so it was very easy to do this because this thing only cost me about $150. It came with a lid, it came with everything, and it was a perfect chicken brooder. So the only thing that I will do next time that we decide to brood some chickens from chicks, because we also got our chicks from Tractor Supply, because right around Easter time they always sell chickens, and so we got 14 chicks. We got 6. We got 2 different breeds, 6 and 8 each. One is the ISA Browns and the other is the Golden Comet is what they're called. And so we got those, total of 14 chickens. We were only gonna get a dozen, but then one of them only had 8, so we just cleaned out the rest of that stock and then got another one. We did not buy straight runs. We bought the ones that are supposed to be pullets, so all of these are supposed to be hens, but there's still a slight percentage chance, there's still a slight chance that some of them could be roosters. And so what'll happen to those is, depending on what we want to do, we may keep one rooster. With that many hens, that would be fine. If you walk in the store right about the perfect time, which is usually the day before Easter, and they're trying to get rid of a bunch of birds, they're usually on sale for like $2 a piece. And that saves me buying all of the incubation stuff and all of the other stuff. I can put them in a brooder like this once they're hatched and put a heat lamp on them and they're fine. So that's kind of the update for the chickens. They're getting closer to where they're getting more feathers and they're not so cute and fuzzy anymore, but they're starting to look like chickens. I did put the grate on the bottom. That's one of the things I was going to talk about. Because this is a rabbit hutch, I put the grate on the bottom. Oops, hit the light, freaks them out. But I put the grate on the bottom, as you can see inside there. But now that their feet are big enough, they can walk on this with no problem. So you don't want to do this when they're too small. So I think for next time, because what this has done is it's made it really easy to clean up the tray. So, because I have this out in my garage, to keep the smell down, I'm cleaning the tray now. I'm cleaning the tray once a day. When they were small, you could go about every 2 to 3 days before you had to clean it out. But now they're getting bigger and more mature, and so they're pooping a lot more. It's just what chickens do. So I put the grate in there to allow the poop to go through. I think what I'll do next time is put some hardware cloth in there to where I can do this to let the chickens go in there at an earlier stage where I can remove the shavings from there. So now we're to the point where it's starting to warm up. Where we live in Virginia, it's starting to warm up a little bit. And, sorry, pandemic hair. It's starting to warm up, and so we'll start to gradually take them outside. So I'll take you outside and I'll show you what we did yesterday with the chicken coop and the chicken run. So me and my wife, the elusive lovely bride, I'll see if she can get on this channel or not. We've been starting to do some other things. We've planted some plants, a couple of flowers in here, but mostly some herbs and spices. So we've got some oregano. So we've got some oregano, mint. We've got some cilantro, a couple of flowers, and some basil. I like basil. I like fresh basil. Now, when my ground cover comes in for my garden, I've already tilled it, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then we've got squash, zucchini, tomatoes, that kind of stuff. Those are gonna go right in the ground. Cucumbers. We're gonna try and do pickles. Oh yeah, what do we have over here? We have, oh yeah, English thyme and lavender and some more flowers. Because, you know, sometimes you have to grow things in your garden that are pretty. This used to be an entire plot for a garden. We had it all tilled and things like that. And in Virginia, it's my understanding that this property used to be a pig farm. I don't know the truth of that, but I can tell you that the soil in Virginia is very fertile. And so unless we were out here in the garden every day, which with working, at one point we were working a couple of jobs, homeschooling, we're down to 1 kid now, but we did homeschool 4. Homeschooling and doing all the other things, it's difficult to come out every day to do weeding in the garden and things like that, to do all that stuff, plus keep up with my other channel where I'm doing cycling and things like that, and just going out and enjoying the ride. What we've done here in this area is, for the chickens, we fenced off about half of it. About half of the former garden is fenced off. We took an old pergola that was sitting by the front of our house just forever, for 4 years. I don't know how long it had been sitting there before, and I went ahead and got the tin off of the neighbor's barn that she gave us and just covered it in tin. Made a real simple coop. I didn't do anything fancy here. This is nothing fancy. I think we have wasp in here. Oh, they've moved out. So, oh no, he didn't move out. He's just up under the... So, hopefully the chickens will take care of them when time comes. So I put in 5 nesting boxes. I put in a few roosts, and so that should work for that. We have a fence within a fence. We put up a big fence for our dog. We've got an 80-pound dog. She's an Irish setter. Loves to run. Beautiful dog. Hunting dog. Funny that we got chickens because we have a bird dog, but that's just the way it is. So instead of trying to train her, she's a pretty old dog and she is very keen on watching birds and things like that. I suspect she will be out here, once we get the chickens outside, she will be out here a lot wanting to watch the chickens, which is why we predator proofed the interior yard. So not only for predators that may come out from the outside, climb the fence, do things like that, but from our dog. So we don't want her digging in, so we've lined the entire garden. The only weak spot is the gate, but we've lined the entire garden with chicken wire. Goes up a foot and out a foot. So typically animals will want to dig right at the corner, and hopefully she won't think enough about moving back more than a foot to try and dig in, if she wants to try and dig in. But of course, we'll be watching her a lot and things like that. I suspect she'll come out here and sit on the back of the fence right over here a lot to watch the chickens until she gets used to them, because then she's blocked from the view of the house. So the big thing that we did yesterday, after we got all the fencing up, so we got the fencing up because we're going to use this as our garden. We're going to start small. I don't have the time to do a massive yard, a massive garden, and a lot of animals, and raising all of my own food and doing all that stuff because I'm still working. What we did yesterday was this net that we got a net off of Amazon. It was recommended by several people. And when it got here, I thought, oh man, this net is not going to be very good. We'll see how it holds up. So far, it seems to be pretty strong. It's a nylon net, but you can barely see it. So if you look out across, you can't even see it on camera, I don't think, but there's a net here. I'll hold my hand behind it, but there is a net here, and it's really small. But the idea of this net is not to keep raccoons and bears and lions and tigers, oh my, not to keep those out. It's to keep out the aerial predators, hawks and eagles. We have eagles here in Virginia, we have hawks in Virginia, and we have other aerial predators that will come after the chickens. When we lived in Georgia and we had chickens, We heard a commotion outside one day, and I went outside and a hawk had gotten one of our chickens. And the sad thing about that particular chicken, it was one of the favorite chickens. She liked to follow us around and talk to us and things like that. She was a red sex link, and she was a really fun bird to have. But the hawk got her, you know, part of the natural consequence of having an open yard. We had a big open yard, and we didn't have it covered, and we didn't have the chickens in a pen and things like that. And so the hawk swooped down and got her. So this netting is just for aerial predators. It'll do that as one purpose. The second purpose is it'll keep the chickens in. So I don't have to worry about clipping their wings and things like that, because if they fly up and get in the net, they're gonna come back down. Chickens don't really like to fly a lot anyway, so I suspect that it won't be that much of an issue. So including the net, the PVC pipe, all of the fittings, and the clamps. I had to clamp them to my fence post. We're talking about 50 bucks to do this whole covering. And this is about 25 by 40, I think. 1, 2, yeah, it's about 25 feet by 40. So about 50 bucks to cover the whole thing. So put a gate in, and this is where the chickens will be. And then from the outside, I've made it so we can, it's a little sticky because it's humid, but I made the rope and I built some pulleys on the inside, which I've showed you before, so we can open the door. And then I made this big door. I've made it able to open so we can clean out the chicken run. So the only thing I have left to do is to make a ramp, and make a few coverings. I'll probably just use that door, put a couple of legs on that, and be done with it. We're starting all this, it's kind of funny, we're starting all this during the end of the world crises. I'm just kidding. Nobody knows when the world's going to end, but all of this stuff is going on during all that. So I don't know, probably the wrong time to start it. We probably should have done it 4 years ago, but as the Chinese proverb says, the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The next best time is now. So this is the garden. I've already tilled it to get out most of the weeds and things like that. And we're just gonna do a small patch this year just to see how it goes. I've ordered some ground cover. It's a woven fabric cloth. It's not the material stuff that you can get at the big box stores. It's a woven fabric. Comes highly recommended from several other people. A lot of homesteaders who are, you know, people who are doing homesteads full time, and instead of having a pool, they have a greenhouse. Yeah, well, that's why this is a backyard homestead. The ground cover should come today, and I'm gonna put that down. And this should already be prepared good enough that then we can take our tomatoes and our other plants and put them in the ground. So yesterday I built a potato tower, and I have no idea how this is going to work, if it's going to work. My potatoes, I cut them up a couple of days ago. They've been drying, so they kind of scab over on the cut parts. And I think I built 6 or 7 layers of a potato tower. I was overly ambitious. I bought a lot of straw. I bought 2 bales of straw. It turns out I only needed half a bale. So the other tower over there is nothing but straw. And we'll just let that, maybe that'll turn into an upright compost or something, who knows. So there's my potato tower. You can look up on the internet how to do it. That's what I did. I went to YouTube, found out how to do this stuff. So the rain stopped for a little while, and I thought it was gonna warm up. There was a few minutes ago where it was, the sun was coming out, and so I thought, okay, I'm gonna get out there and do the garden anyway. It's clouding up again. Might get some more rain tonight. We're supposed to get more rain tonight, but figured while I got some time, I'm gonna get out here and put down the ground cover, which came in the mail today. So far, it's just rolled right out. I had approximately 6 feet of garden, because that's all we're gonna do for right now. So I'm gonna roll this out, and then it'll be easy to put our plants under this. This comes highly recommended by Homestead Traditions. I've been watching a lot of their YouTube channel, and so comes highly recommended by them. And so putting this down, and it's really easy to cut with the torch. So that's how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna roll this out, and the cool thing about this stuff is it's reusable. So once we get our garden done this year, even once we put holes in it, things like that, we can roll it back up over the winter, or we can just leave it out. And then when those plants are dead, we just rake them all off and replant right where the holes are and put more fertilizer and things like that right in those holes. So I think this is gonna be cool. This hopefully will block more weeds than any other thing we did. Why try and buy the cheap stuff at the big box stores? Going with the woven fabric. All right, so there it is, it's down. It was that easy to cover the plot. Now, tomorrow, I'll get the ELB out here. I'll have her help me with the planting, and we'll plant our tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, yellow squash. There's something else, but I've forgotten what it is. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us on the journey. And until next time, cheers.